Enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes, I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us. And that's wrong vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012. I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can. And everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke. I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own. Ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name. I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave a Ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just want to keep us broke, cause they ain't putting nothing in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't want to see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor or the governor and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do, okay y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws, they the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The State House make the court calls. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years, and we just let them sit. See, they don't wanna tell you this, they want you to focus on the president. Now the 3rd branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in, cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back, grocery store food better, custody of your kids back, homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters, me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the polls.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.
Enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life.
This episode of the Cab Grand Rising Show is brought to you by Autochthonous Assembly, where the real work gets done. For the first-time visitors who may be wondering who Autochthonous Assembly is, Autochthonous Assembly, or A2 for short, is a gathering of minds that do the work. A2 is a non-profit organization dedicated to raising up Indigenous Americans' voices by using genealogy, also known as family history or family tree. Genealogy is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages in history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Autochthonous Assembly's core values are the foundation of its company, essential to its success, and serves as the lens through which it evaluates every business decision. The core values are integrity, know and do what is right, respect, treating others the way you want to be treated, responsibility, embrace opportunities to contribute, servant leadership, serve the common good. Along with a key emphasis on genealogy, A2 is also committed to providing our communities with information and access to available grants and funding through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Farm Service Agency, and other departments and agencies that offer programs to help them become self-sufficient. Building on a strong community reputation, Autochthonous Assembly continues to strengthen the growth of the relationship and development of our communities. Peace and Grand Rising.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.
Grand rising, peace, peace, peace. How's everyone doing this rising?
Good, Grand Rising. How you doing?
No complaints. Whole lot of reading.
Oh, don't I know?
I came back in the room last night. Y'all was getting it in.
Yeah, reading, and reading.
Grand rising, doodle vision. See you. Grand rising, no sellout.
Double cousin.
Well, y'all gonna let me in here?
Doo doo. He said, "Y'all gonna let me in here."
Trying to start without me just because I had y'all on mute this morning. Y'all was killing me. I was like, man, I'm gonna learn later. I can't be doing this.
Really?
I need 5 more minutes. Turned into 20. I'm glad we started late. I appreciate it. Y'all in that back chat? Whoa, no, I don't need no alarm. I got alarms.
I gotta give you a shout out, double cousin. Okay.
What I done did?
Look, you told me to look up and read on bolting. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Google. I was about to say, I told you to look up on Google.
Yeah.
Google something.
I Googled it.
Okay.
Googled. I was about to say Google again.
Google, yeah. Because you know, some people just don't use Google for some reason, not even for research.
I gotta be reminded. I'm used to pulling books and asking questions and then reference to a book. Google is helpful. You told me about bolting. So I looked up bolting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And realized what bolting was. Now, curious enough, right? Reading up and taking an understanding what bolting is, when herbs, when it basically flowers. I also found out that coriander, which is a seasoning that I used.
Coriander. Okay. What's the same thing?
Coriander is actually
say it.
Cilantro seeds.
There you go. So they use coriander, the word coriander, in the UK. I know that from watching a few chefs and gardeners. And I'm like, what is coriander? I don't know coriander around here. Yeah, you do. Cilantro.
Right. Guess what else I also learned?
What that is?
I learned that allspice is a pepper. However, the mistake that I'm making by saying pepper is there is no word for pepper in South America.
Oh, cool.
Because allspice is from South America.
Southern America?
Mm-hmm.
Or the country South America?
The country South America, the landmass that we refer to now as South America.
Gotcha.
I learned that.
The landmass.
So when we say pepper, there was no way to translate, because allspice is considered a pepper, even though it's a seasoning. It is considered a peppered seasoning in South America, but there was no translation for pepper. The closest translation that they could get to explain pepper, like black pepper, was from, if I'm remembering correctly, I was reading, it was from
copper pepper. No, I don't know.
Was from Asia, if I'm remembering correctly. But there's no word for pepper. Like, you go to South America, anywhere in South America, and say pepper, like, pepper doesn't exist.
What, they gonna chop your hand off if you say pepper? Okay, so it's not a bad word. You just need to find the real word for pepper.
Right. You need to know the real word to the plant, the spice or herb you're referring to.
Word.
Like we say, like we call jalapenos hot peppers.
Mm-hmm.
It's spicy, but it's not a pepper.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I learned something.
Jalapenos. See what Bones do? He's sitting over there shaking his head because it's just me and you. you know, we about to cut up. He's like, you know what? So the topic today is not what y'all talking about. That's number one. Numero dos. Let's do the roll call, man. Los Locos kick. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm gonna give a little quick roll call. Shout out to Pamela Hall. She was first in the building, and then me, Copper Color Ancestor, Grand Rising, Michael Brown Harris Cheek, peace, 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 Grand Rising. Wild Indian Roots, Grand Rising. Dion Lowe, peace and Grand Rising. Carrie Bay, peace, brethren. Who else we got? Lachey, Grand Rising, welcome, welcome. And Mr. TJ, peace and Grand Rising. I'll hit another roll call a little later. Peace, y'all. Grand Rising. Stop playing. James Flames, aka Doodoo Vision, in the building, says that you have to call a pepper by what it's called in chili, or what it's called chili.
Oh.
And he made a joke about coriander.
Yes,
that's actually
yes.
Did you see that? David Coriander. Shout out to David Corey. I know he up and in the greens in the fields.
Yeah, you know he in the garden. He's sleeping.
He said, "Forget that. I don't check in first. I check in with my peoples out there in the yard first. The green people. So I'll see y'all halfway through the show. I'm gonna need him to get a tripod and some headphones." James said, "Chilango, aka peppercorn, hair people."
Yep.
Stop playing.
I'm trying to tell you.
Chili flakes.
Trying to tell you.
Ask why it was called chili flakes.
Hold on. Let me go back to this real quick because learned about coca too. Did you know that tomatoes? Oh wait, did you know also tomatoes and potatoes derive from coca? No, they derive from peppers. My bad. I was also reading on coca too. Everything free in America.
You have to brush up on your classical musicals. It's everything free in America.
You definitely got to brush up on the musical. James, I was about to read it like that, and she read it, and I was like, "Oh man, it's all right." A reference.
Yeah, it was and I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but it was Piper Aritum, Piper, and they translated it to pepper. Absolutely, it will.
I got the link back in the chat, so whenever y'all ready.
Okay, when do we leave off on? I think I went down too far.
I believe we're on curriculum.
Curriculum. Oh, okay. Curricula and extracurricular programs.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Carlisle curricula included subjects such as English, math, history, drawing, and composition. Students also learned trade and work skills such as farming and manufacturing. Older students used their skills to help build new classrooms and dormitories. Carlisle students produced a variety of weekly and monthly newspapers and other publications that were considered part of their industrial training or preparing for work in a larger economy. Marianne Moore was a teacher at Carlisle before she became one of America's leading poets. Okay, she was an American modernist poet, critic, translator, and editor. Her poetry is noted for formal innovation, precise dictation, irony, and wit. Music was a part of the program, and many students studied classical instruments. The Carlisle Indian Band earned an international reputation. Native American teachers eventually joined the faculty, such as Ho-Chunk, also known as Hukagra or Winnebago, are a Siouan-speaking Native American people whose historic territory includes parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. Today, Ho-Chunk people, are enrolled in 2 federally recognized tribes. And artist Angel Decora Diaz, 1871 to 1919, was a Winnebago painter and illustrator, Native American rights advocate, and teacher.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Get them.
Oh, you're not recognizing these names.
I am.
These fake names, like Ho Chunk. Is that what you do when you throw a lady of the evening? See how far you can chunk her? Come on, son. Right, go ahead. Are you the mic?
And also remember, how could he be giving you American Indian paintings when you already know he was taken as a child, have no attachments to that culture, and was given one?
Right.
So he's painting what someone impressed on him to paint. He was given it.
Yep. Angel Decora Diaz, 1871 to 1919, was a Winnebago painter, illustrator, Native American rights advocate, and teacher at Carlisle Indian School. She was the best-known Native American artist before World War I. They taught students about Native American art and heritage and fought harsh assimilation methods. So they taught at the school that they were raised in?
They taught them this created Indian culture, and they came back and taught it to more people.
What I don't understand is they were students and then became teachers. And it says they fought harsh assimilation methods.
Correctly.
They became teachers at the same school.
But listen, it's telling you right there. And when I said it, when you said, read it for exactly what it is. What did they fight for? Harsh assimilation methods. Going through school, being brainwashed to reprogram wasn't as harsh as forcing you by a gun and killing you if you didn't do it.
Got you.
They fought the harsher methods. So they chose, what did they say? It's easier to get the children. Instead of forcing the adults and fighting the adults, we're going to get the children, hold them as ransom, teach them, then put them back out there so they can start teaching the further generations.
Got you.
More effective than fighting every day physically.
Right. Got you. Okay. Students were instructed in Christianity and expected to attend a local church, but had their choice among those in town. Carlisle students were required to attend a daily service and 2 services on Sundays. Students were expected to participate in various extracurricular activities. In addition to the, am I about to read this right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
In addition to the YMCA, sometimes regionally called the Y, is a worldwide youth organization based in Geneva, Switzerland, with more than 64 million beneficiaries in 120 countries. It was founded on the 6th of June, 1844 by Sir George Williams in London, originally as the Young Men's Christian Association. And King's Daughters Circle. King's Daughters is a term used to refer to the approximately 800 young French women who immigrated to New France between 1663 and 1673 as part of a program sponsored by King Louis.
Would those be Huguenots?
Yeah.
Doing the expulsion of the Huguenots again?
What number is that? X is 10, 1 is 1, V is 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
10, 1, 15. King Louis the 15th. Is that right or no?
Yeah, just had to look at it.
Okay. Of France. The program was designed to boost New France's population. Hot link, click on it.
Where's New France? Hold on. But where is New France? What landmass are they calling New France?
Wasn't that Louisiana?
No, we talking North America, a large chunk of North America.
Oh.
Like where we at now was considered New France.
Oh. That's what the Louisiana Purchase was about.
Oh no, before that.
No.
You talking about before that?
You got a New France.
Yeah, matter of fact, oh, go ahead, Brother James. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to tell her just pull up New France real quick.
You're going to find all along the Atlantic coast, all the way up to the Arctic Circle, New France. Way before the Louisiana Purchase. Go back to the French Indian War.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Yeah, but you consider North America was New France.
Yeah, the only thing that wasn't part of New France was Canada, California, like Washington State, some of the Midwest, but
Canada was and still is. That's why you have British Canada and you have French Canada.
Correct.
They're cutting that part off. The French Indian War, when it was all settled, is why the Huguenots that were along the Arctic region were pushed south. And you know them better today as Cajuns. Same folk. This is what happened when the dynasty becomes Brokeback Mountain. I yield the mic.
I scratch my head. Okay. The girls could choose between the Mercer Literary Society and the Susan Longstreth Society. The boys had a choice between the Standard Literary Society or the Invincible Debating Society. Sorry, I'm pulling, these are highlighted red, and I want to see what these schools are now, if that makes sense. Mercer University. Oh, the Dulcimer. It's Mercer University.
Correct. Oh, what you was gonna say, Brother James?
I was going to tell him the names haven't changed very much.
Right.
Even when you go into the Hampton National School, what is that? Hampton University. Isn't Hampton University an HBCU today?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
They just switched you from Indian to Black, Negro, colored, whatever you want to call yourself. The students are still attending these schools today.
Right.
Come on, son. I yield the mic.
And wasn't these schools designed for a special group of people?
Yep.
And wasn't it up until recent, the majority of these schools were still designed for a particular group of people?
Yep.
Anybody couldn't go to an Indian school, or anybody couldn't go to an HBCU.
A summer camp was established in the mountains at Pine Grove Furnace State Park. It is a protected Pennsylvania area that includes Laurel and Full Lakes in Cook Township in Cumberland County. The park accommodates various outdoor recreation activities, protects the remains of the Pine Grove Ironworks, 1764. It's near a place called Tag's Run. Students lived in the tents and picked berries, hunted and fished. Luther Standing Bear recalled in 1881, after the school closed for the summer vacation, some of the boys and girls were placed out in farmers' house to work throughout the summer. Those who remained at school were sent to the mountains for a vacation trip. I was among the number. When we reached our camping place, we pitched out tents like soldiers all in a row. Captain Pratt brought along a lot of feathers and some sinew, and we made bow and arrows. Many white people came to visit the Indian camp, and seeing us shooting with the bow and arrow, they would put nickels and dimes in a slot of wood and set them up for us to shoot at. If we knocked the money from the stick, it was ours. We enjoyed this sport very much, as it brought a real home thrill to us. The Indian Club of Pelham Mill is an exercise equipment tool of Persian origin introduced from India. Indian clubs, which originated in the Indian subcontinent, are a type of exercise equipment used to present resistance in movement to develop strength and mobility. They consist of bowling pin-shaped wooden clubs of varying sizes of weight, which are swung in certain patterns as part of a strength exercise program. Like a juggler?
No, you see how they got the bags now and they tied up and they swing back and forth on the ropes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Okay. The Carlisle Summer Outing Program. The Carlisle Summer Outing Program arranged for students to work in homes as domestic servants or in farms or businesses during the summer. The program won praise from reformers and administrators alike and helped increase the public's faith that Indians could be educated and assimilated. The program gave students opportunities to interact and live in the white world and found jobs for students during the summer months with middle-class farm families where they earned their first wages. Many students worked in
I'm
the
sorry.
home. Huh?
I'm sorry.
Sound like Job Corps to me.
Yeah, it does.
I,
It
I'm,
also
I'm,
sounds.
I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
I'm
How many Native Americans do you know that worked on farms, in homes as domestic servants, or businesses as apprentices during the summer months? I don't know of any. I don't know. I don't know. Go back and look at old movies and documentaries. I don't see these Native Americans. I see people that resemble us. And again, we just said Job Corps. There's one here right
Beta.
down the street from me.
What was before Job Corps? Beta. This would be Beta. The summer program
Yes.
for the children to work and make a living and make wages. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the first it was called Beta.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, Sister Gabrielle Union. Read.
Oh no. That's good. That's this. Many students worked in the homes and farms of Quaker families in eastern Pennsylvania. Quakers, also called Friends.
This is where you get these pictures of people that you're trying to call slaves.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
Quakers, and I'm just reading a little highlighted. Quakers, also called Friends, are historically Christian denomination whose formal name is the Religious Society of Friends or Friends Church. Members of the various Quaker movements are all generally united by their belief in the ability of each human being to experientially, is that right? Families in eastern Pennsylvania and surrounding states. Some were sent to farms in the Pennsylvania Dutch country of Dauphin, Lancaster, and Lebanon counties and acquired what would be a lifelong Pennsylvania Dutch accent. The Pennsylvania Dutch country, sometimes called the Destinfink country, is an area of southeastern and south central Pennsylvania that by the American Revolution had a high percentage of Pennsylvania Dutch inhabitants. Students were required to write home at least every month, and as often as they chose. Nearly all students lovingly inquired after absent brothers and sisters, and many sent money home, $10 or $20 of their own earnings. Question.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we read earlier that they didn't send them letters home?
There's some of them, yeah. Some of the agents held on the letters and didn't send them, yeah.
Okay. Maggie stands looking, a daughter of Oglala Lakota Chief American Horse, was among the first wave of children brought from Rosebud and one of Captain Pratt's model students. Maggie had difficulty adjusting to the demands of her new lifestyle at Carlisle and once slapped Miss Hyde, a matron, when Hyde insisted that Maggie make her bed every day and keep her room clean. Instead of retaliating, Miss Hyde stood her ground and Maggie acquiesced. Acquiesced. Like most of the Carlisle students, Maggie was enrolled in the summer outing program. After her arrival to her country home, Maggie wrote a letter to Pratt. Dear Captain Pratt, what shall I do? I have been here 2 weeks and I have not bathed. These folks have no bath place. Your school daughter, Maggie, stands looking. Pratt advised her to do as he had done on the frontier and signed his letter. Your friend and... Hold on, I'm reading this wrong. I'm not... Okay, hold on. Like most of the Carlisle students, Maggie was enrolled in the summer outing program. After her arrival to her country home, Maggie wrote a letter to Pratt. Dear Captain Pratt, what shall I do? I have been here 2 weeks and I have not bathed. These folks have no bath place. Your school daughter, Maggie, stands looking. Okay. Pratt advised her to do as he had done on the frontier and signed his letter, your friend and school father, R.H. Pratt. Maggie replied, after filling a wash basin with water and rubbing myself well, have had a bath that made me feel as good as jumping into a river. The outing program continued throughout the Carlisle history, and of the thousands who attended Carlisle for the first 24 years, at least half participated in the program. Around 1909, Superintendent Friedman expanded the outing program by placing boys in manufacturing corporations such as Ford Motor Company.
Uh-huh. And what happened after this? Didn't you get a large influx of people looking like us into the industry of Ford Motors?
Yeah.
A couple years later?
Yeah. Over 60 of the boys from Carlisle were subsequently hired and worked steadily for Ford. During the later part of World War I, about 40 had good jobs in the Hog Island, Pennsylvania shipyards. Hog Island is the historic name of an area southeast of Tinicum Township, Pennsylvania, along the Delaware River, to the west of the mouth of the Schuylkill River. Philadelphia International Airport now sits on the land that was once Hog Island. Student internships. In 1883, Luther Standing Bear was sent to Philadelphia to work as an intern for John Wanamaker. John Wanamaker was an American merchant and religious, civic, and political figure considered by some to be a prominent of advertising and a pioneer in marketing. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and served as U.S. Postmaster General. Wanamaker was the first department store in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and one of the first department stores in the United States. Luther was told by Pratt, "My boy, you are going away from us to work for this school. Go and do your best. The majority of white people think the Indian is a lazy, good for nothing. They think he can neither work nor learn anything, that he is very dirty. Now you are going to prove that the red man can learn and work as well as the white man. If John Wanamaker gives you the job of blacking his shoes, see that you make them shine. Then he will give you a better job. If you are put into the office to clean, don't forget to sweep under the chairs and in the corners. If you do this well, he will give you better work to do." While riding on streetcars in Philadelphia, Luther did not care to listen to the vulgar language used by white boys on the way to work. At the end of his internship, the entire Carlisle School students and faculty traveled to a large meeting hall in Philadelphia where Pratt and Wanamaker spoke. Luther was asked to come to the stage, and Wanamaker told the students that Luther had been promoted from one department to another every month, getting better work and better money in spite of the fact that he employed over 1,000 people. He never promoted anyone as rapidly as Luther. The Carlisle Indians sports team. During the early 20th century, the Carlisle Indian School was a national football powerhouse and regularly competed against other major programs such as Ivy League schools, Harvard, Pennsylvania, Cornell, Dartmouth, Yale, Princeton, Brown, and Army, West Point, and Navy, Annapolis. Coach Pop Warner wow.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Scobie Warner, most commonly known as Pop Warner, was an American college football coach at various institutions who is responsible for several key aspects of the modern game. Coach Pop Warner led a highly successful football team and athletic program at the Carlisle School and went on to create other successful collegiate programs. He coached the exceptional athlete Jim Thorpe and his teammates. James Francis Thorpe was an American athlete and an Olympic gold medalist, a member of the Sac and Fox Nation. Thorpe became the first Native American to win a gold medal for the United States, considered one of the most versatile athletes of modern sports. He won Olympic gold medals in 1912, Pantheon, Hotlink, and his teammates, bringing national recognition to a small school. I did not know that. By 1907, the Carlisle Indians were the most dynamic team in college football. They had pioneered the forward pass, the overhand spiral, and other trick plays that frustrated their opponents. The Carlisle Indians have been characterized as the team that invented football. Oh my goodness. This is why the NFL and the census and where the football players come from tie together.
Do you see it? And Pop Warner is basically the name of what you know as Little League football.
Yeah,
it's not
it is.
now, but in our time, yeah. It was the Little League football programs that we came up in.
Yeah, there's still Pop Warner around here. That's crazy. In 1911, the Indians posted a 11-1 record, which included one of the greatest upsets in college football history. Legendary athlete Jim Thorpe and coach Pop Warner led the Carlisle Indians to an 18-15 upset of Harvard before 25,000 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Thorpe scored all the points for Carlisle, a touchdown, extra point, and 4 field goals. During the program's 25 years, the Carlisle Indians compiled a 167 88-13 record and winning percentage of .647. which makes it the most successful defunct major college football program. The Carlisle Indians developed a rivalry with Harvard and loved to sarcastically mimic the Harvard accent. Even players who could barely speak English would draw the broad Harvard A as in the Boston accent in non-rhotic, typically pronounced Pak the Ka in Harvard Yard. Got it. Okay. Pak the Ka in Harvard Yard.
Pak the Ka in Harvard Yard.
Thank you, Double Cousin. Carlisle students labeled any excellent performance, whether on the field or in the classroom, as Harvard style. On November 9th, 1912, Carlisle was to meet the U.S. Military Academy in a game at West Point, New York, between two of the top teams in the country. Pop Warner spoke to his team. "Your fathers and grandfathers," Warner began, "are the ones who fought their fathers. These men playing against you today are soldiers. They are the Long Knives. You are Indians. Tonight we will know if you are warriors." That dramatic evening, Carlisle routed Army 27-6. That game played just 22 years after the last Army battle with the Lakota Sioux at the Wounded Knee. Featured not only Jim Thorpe, but 9 future generals, including a linebacker named Dwight D. Eisenhower. It was exquisitely apt piece of national theater, a contest between Indians and soldiers. Wouldn't that be Indians and Indians?
Or the Indians or the soldiers.
Now that they be telling the story how they want it to go.
You're right.
So, am I to understand correct? This is a telling saying that Dwight D. Eisenhower was Indian?
All I say is check his genealogy.
Dwight D. Eisenhower was a Negro from Denison, Texas. I yield the mic.
And on that note, I'm gonna give a nice little round of shout outs to the chat. Peace to the chats. Wild Indian Roots, Grand Rising. Still rising, right? Yeah, okay. Dion Lowe, peace, Grand Rising. Lachey, oh, we already got, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Carrie Bay, excuse me. Carrie Bay, peace, and Grand Rising. Lachey, Pamela Hall, Copper Color Ancestor, Michael Brown Harris Cheek, Mr. TJ. Who else we got here? Macadon 1. Who else? Big Hawk, Grand Rising. Jay Squahana, peace and Grand Rising. Who else we got? Charles Clark, Grand Rising. Monty Jack, or Monte, one of those. Grand Rising, peace. Who else we got? Mike Easton, Grand Rising. Bonton South Dallas, Grand Rising. David Corey, David Coriander, peace and Grand Rising. And that's what we got. Peace, y'all. Peace, 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 peace. Going on mute. Going on mute. Also, peace and Grand Rising to the other chats as well. If you're on Twitch, peace. If you're on the website, Grand Rising. Or vice versa.
Still there, Gabrielle? Oh, you went to clicking.
Yeah, Dudu is right.
Oh, you was reading in the back chat just now too?
Wait, back chat. Oh, I clicked the link. My bad.
Oh, I was just clicking what he read back there just now. Yeah, well, the answer was yes, Bounce. So you don't want to.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Hold on, I'm going back. Wait. Okay.
Wait, before you go any further,
with a
I'm going to show you the connection. Can you do me a favor? Just Gabrielle Union, because you got all those windows open. You looked at Dwight D. Eisenhower, correct? From Denison, Texas, correct? Now, I want you to look up Albert A. Malvern. Last name is spelled Malvern. Albert A. Malvern. Look at that picture and tell me what you see.
Chakota, Oklahoma.
Do you see his picture though?
Yeah. Terrell. Okay. Denison, Texas. Denison, Texas.
No, look at the picture
I'm looking at the picture.
and put the Dwight D. Eisenhower's picture right beside his.
What?
You don't see the resemblance?
I do.
So what was the middle
tripping.
initial?
No. Was A. He didn't have a middle initial. He only took the A when he joined the military because he had to have a middle name. The A stands for nothing.
No, I'm Albert. You said Malvern?
Yeah, Albert A. Malvern.
Gotcha.
A is just, the middle initial. I ain't tripping no more.
No more.
Then discover the history of Albert A. Malvern and Malvern Elementary School that's named after him here in Texas. He and his wife. These people that they keep trying to show you are Negroes, coloreds today.
Albert
So
and Iola Davis.
All this stuff that you're seeing with Carlisle and everything they were doing, and why they banned Negroes from playing in the NFL because they were too fast, too big, and too strong to be tackled by Europeans.
Don't you know no good?
Oh, I got it on the screen.
Does anybody else see that resemblance, or is it just me?
Oh no. I
We
did.
got Albert and Iola Davis, Malvern. Yeah.
Iola Lee. She got Iola Lee Davis. Yeah, so hold on. I got a question. I need to see that picture of Dwight D. Eisenhower and Albert. The Negroes. Don't be alarmed, we're Negroes. Grand Rising, American Indians voice versus. Grand Rising. Diaspora L. I don't know if it's
if you can see the, I got the Dwight D. Eisenhower picture on the screen. Take a look. Now tell me he not. I'll wait.
Oh man, it just popped up.
Qualifications for the Negro is.
Oh
Use
man,
what the census is. What a Negro is. Listen, y'all. See, we can't get caught up in today's terminology. Go back and remember what they considered a Negro.
In U.S.
Now, how is this man not one? And I'll go by. I'm back at the Malvern. I'll hop back and forth. Please tell me how
Now
Look
tell
like
me they
somebody
not
light skinned.
skinny.
That look like somebody a little light skinned uncle.
Would y'all like to talk to the son of Albert A. Malvern and Iola Lee Davis Malvern?
Oh, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Man.
The homo proof is not a problem.
Right? Dwight. Dwight around your lips.
Oh, my bad, brothers and sisters. You know what, y'all? We did not get them a warning to put them seat belts and helmets on before we went there.
Well, it's okay. It's all right.
Absolutely.
Look, the hospitals is kind of closed anyway.
And I got Dwight
Go
sitting
back
on
again.
this a little bit longer.
Yep, let it marinate. And then go back again and look where they telling you about the Carlisle School and how Henry Ford was recruiting these Indians, but then you read again that Henry Ford hired more Negroes than any other corporation. And when he died, that all these Negroes flocked and mourned for him. They exchanged Indian with Negro and Negro with Indian. Are you this cotton picking?
Ooh, yeah.
How you think so many of us in Detroit and Flint? Come on, son.
Oh, they cooking today.
You know, I think it would be good for some of these names that are said to be or titled to be significant roles or people in war and in history to dismiss, I guess, the visual on how they may look in complexion and really pull their history, if that makes sense. And I say this because continue to read about Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was originally named David Dwight Eisenhower, but his mother called him Dwight because his brother was also named David, and the brothers were called Big Ike, Little Ike, Tiny Ike, Ike, so on and so forth. I think it would be really interesting to find how many people, the names that we read about, to really have an understanding of their origin and who they are and where they come from.
You can look at it this way. Remember the classification of the times. Remember when I keep saying a lot of these people wasn't considered white until recent?
Mm-hmm.
These same people, if you put them at the same time, they're Negroes. That's a classification they would have been up under. You would have considered them Negro. What did they say? One drop made them a what?
Negro.
See, we watch this stuff and we kind of judge it on what they define it as today. A very darker, you know what I'm saying, hue. But you got to remember, all of them, we were all in the same category.
Did you know that Dwight D. Eisenhower's brother, Milton Eisenhower, he served as president of 3 major American universities: Kansas State University, Pennsylvania State University, and Johns Hopkins University. He was the younger brother of U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Okay, I'm scrolling back. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I just...
You mean the cousin of Albert A. Malvern.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say again, don't use the classifications that they try to make with people.
Breaking up, Bones.
Again,
You're breaking up. No, still breaking up. You know, another consistency or another pattern I'm seeing. Can y'all hear me?
We hear you, little buddy.
Okay, so another pattern I'm seeing is that generals, high-ranked names and titles and officials were in World War I and World War II and came from these universities, these schools.
I'm gonna say it like I said it before. People be getting mad running around here talking about what they don't know. Indians are still running the country. They just taught us to look at Indians different. They taught us to divide ourselves, to separate ourselves by different shades of melanin in our skin. But like Brother James said, if you go back and you look and you actually look at these families,
It was an exquisitely apt piece of national theater, a contest between Indians and soldiers. Many Carlisle Indians, such Frank Mount Pleasant, was an American football player, track and field athlete, and coach of football, basketball, and baseball. He played college football at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School and at Dixon College, and graduated from Dixon in 1910. He was the first Native American to graduate. Gus Welch. Gus Gustavus A. Welch, Gus, was an American football and lacrosse coach. Francis M. Caillou. So there was an issue. American football player and coach of football, basketball, and baseball. He served as the head football coach at Wabash College from 1904 to 1907 and at Washington University in St. Louis from 1908 to 1912. Joe Guyon, Joseph Napoleon Guyon, Big Chief, was an American Indian from the Ojibwa tribe, Chippewa, who was an American football and basketball player and coach. He played college football at the
baseball.
And basketball.
He played football and baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Football and baseball. baseball player and coach. He played college football at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School from 1912 to 1913 and Georgia Institute of Technology. Pete Kalak. Pedro Pete Kalak was a professional football player who played in the Ohio League and during the early years of the National Football League. Over the course of his 10-year career, he played for the Canton Bulldogs, Cleveland Indians, Washington Senators, Orang Indians, and the Buffalo Bisons. This racism is killing me. Bemis Pierce. You know what?
That's always a good one. I almost said it last week, and I was like, I'm not gonna say it. Go ahead, my bad. Oh, One Dream 33 in Twitch. Shout out to the Twitch chat. Was it One Dream 33? Yes. Shout out. And the Restream bot. Shout out to Restream bot for posting that. You all right, bro? You lose your place?
I'm good. Bemis
You know what,
Pierce.
Gabrielle? You're the only person I know that can chameleon your eyes to two different windows. You got one window open, your left eye looking at Shadow Lopez, and your other eye looking at the other window. You're gonna have to, you know what? That operating system you got, you need to downgrade. No split screens for you.
Man, yeah. If I had a split screen, it would be it's over with.
Trouble.
What's my
Exactly. It'd be a bunch of You're gonna lose your reading duties.
You gonna give you trouble.
You gotta live here. You don't.
What's my motivation? Bemis Pierce was an American football player and coach. He played as a guard in the 1890s and 1900s. Pierce played college football for the Carlisle Indian School teams from 1894 to 1898 and played professional football for the championship teams from the Homestead Library and Athlete Club of 1900 and 1901. He also played for All Syracuse team in 1902, the first indoor professional football team. Pierce served as the head football coach at the University of Buffalo in 1899, at the Carlisle Indian School in 1906, and Kenyon College from 1908 to 1910. Holly Pierce. Holly Pierce was an early professional football player for the Philadelphia Athletics of the First National Football League and later for the Syracuse Athletic Club during the 1902 and 1903 World Series of Football. In 1901, he began his professional career playing on the 1901 Homestead Library and Athletes Club football team. Prior to his professional career, Pierce, a Seneca Native American, played for the Carlisle Indian School located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He was the brother of college and professional football's Bemis Pierce. Frank Hudson. Frank Hudson was a Native American football player and coach. He was a member of the Laguna Pueblo tribe from New Mexico. William Jennings Gardner was an American football player, coach, and law enforcement agent. While working as a prohibition agent in Chicago, Illinois, Gardner served with Elliot Ness's Untouchables, a group of hand-picked federal agents who, from 1930 to 1932, sought to put an end to Al Capone's illegal empire. Although Gardner was only involved with the group for a short period of time, he would prominently be mentioned in Ness's memoirs of the investigation. The Untouchables inspired a recurring character in the 1959 television series based upon that book. Martin Wheelock. Martin Frederick Wheelock, Oneida, was an Oneida football player in the United States who achieved a national reputation while playing American football for the Carlisle Indian School from 1894 to 1902. Captain of the team in the dang it, this is why the colleges have genealogy records. My bad. Thinking out loud. Captain of the team in 1899, Wheelock was selected as a first team All-American by the New York Sun in 1899, a second team All-American by Walter Camp in 1901, and to the All-University team by the Philadelphia Inquirer in 1902. In later life, he worked as a blacksmith and farmer. Interesting. In 1913, Coach Pop Warner named Wheelock the All-American all-time American Indian football team. In 1980, he was inducted into the American Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. I didn't know. Jimmy Johnson.
Well, we're going to have to look into that Hall of Fame.
Jimmy Johnson, James E. Johnson, was an American football player. He was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. He was elected to College Football Hall of Fame in 1969. Johnson, born in June 6, 1879 in Edgerton, Wisconsin. Johnson was half Stockbridge Indian. The Stockbridge Moonsea community, also known as the Mohican Nation, Stockbridge Moonsea Band, is a federally recognized Native American tribe formed in the late 18th century from communities of so-called praying Indians, descendants from Christianized members. Isaac Seneca. Isaac Seneca Jr. was an All-American football player for the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. He was selected as an All-American halfback on the 1899 college football All-American team. He was the first Carlisle player and first American Indian to be selected as an All-American. He was born in 1874 on the Cattaraugus Reservation in New York. Artie Miller. Arthur Artie Miller was an early professional American.
What's up, Dave?
Go ahead.
I found it and I posted it in the chat. The American Indian Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Arthur Artie Miller was an early professional American football player for the Homestead Library and Athletic Club in 1900 and 1901, as well as the Pittsburgh Stars of the First National Football League. He played the position of halfback before the start of 1902 season. Miller was working as a lumberjack in Wisconsin. You know what? I got a question. Just y'all still there? Y'all still there?
Uh-huh.
How is it that oh there was an issue of blacks playing professional football? Never mind.
These people were able to pass.
Right.
Because think about it. Back then, you would consider them Negroes. It's now because they changed, you know what I'm saying, the categories you were in. But these are Negroes.
Right. I was about to ask it, and as soon as I was about to ask it, yeah. Okay. William O. Nawashi was a professional football player. He attended high school and college at the Carlisle Indian School, located Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Nawashi, a member of the Sac and Fox Nation, played 5 games in the National Football League during the 1923 season with the Orang Indians. Oh, the Orang Indians were a traveling team in the National Football League from LaRue, Ohio. The franchise was a novelty team put together by Walter Lingo to market his Oringo dog kennels. All of the Indian players were Native American, with Jim Thorpe serving as leading player. Okay, here's an interesting fact going over what we read yesterday, but what you explained, Bones. He married to Myrtle Cohen. They had a daughter, Susan Nawashi Underwood, who was the mother to Rebecca Lee Lewis Deanne. So the daughter had the father's last name as a middle name. The father had his last name, which was his father's first name. Their daughter's last name isn't even the same name as the mother or father. Okay, going back. Woodchuck Wellmus. Philip J. Woodchuck Wellmus was a Native American professional football player in the early National Football League. He was a member of the Cupino people. Wellmus played in 4 games in the NFL with the Orang Indians for the 1923 season. He ended his professional career after the Indians disbanded in 1923. Ted St. Germain. Thomas Leo Ted St. Germain was an American football player, coach, and lawyer. He served as the head football coach at the Villanova College, now known as Villanova University, for 1 season. In 1913, compiling a record of 4-2-1, Germain played professionally in the National Football League, NFL, during the 1922 season. That season, he joined the NFL's Orang Indians, a team based in LaRue, Ohio, which was composed solely of Native Americans and coached by Jim Thorpe. St. Germain was qualified to play for the Indians since he was Chippewa. Bill Weinschenk. Bill Weinschek. William Phineas Weinschek, also spelled Weinschek, and referred to as Nahisan Wahika, was a professional football player who played in the National Football League during the 1922 season at age 37. That season, he joined the NFL's Orang Indians. The Indians were a team based in rural Ohio, composed of only Native Americans and coached by Jim Thorpe. Bill was a member of the Ho-Chunk or Winnebago tribe. And Albert Exendine. Albert Andrew Exendine was an American football player, coach, and lawyer. He played college football at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, where he was an All-American in. Exendine served as the head football coach at Odenbine College, 1909 to 1911. Georgetown University, 1914 to 1922, the State College of Washington, now Washington State University, 1923 to 1925, Occidental College, 1926 to 1927, Northeastern State Teachers College, now Northeastern State University, 1929, and Oklahoma Agriculture and Mechanical College, now Oklahoma State University, 1934 through 1935. He was also the head coach at Oklahoma A&M from 1932 to 1933, tallying a mark of 1913. Exendine was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as a player in 1970. He was born in Indian Territory and played for Pop Warner's Carlisle Indians from 1902 to 1907. Okay, so they became professional athletes, coaches, educators, and community leaders. The Carlisle Indian Band. The Carlisle Indian Band earned an international reputation under a talented Oneida musician, Denison Wheelock. Denison Wheelock was an internationally renowned Oneida band conductor and cornet soloist of the late 19th and early 20th century. He was also a composer. Wheelock was compared at the time to John Philip Sousa and nominated to be bandmaster of the United States Marine Band. Interesting. At the age of 40, he became an American Indian rights activist and attorney, and within several years was arguing cases for Indian nations of the United States Court of Claims and U.S. Supreme Court, who became noted as its leader, composer, and compiler of modified native airs. Many students studied classical musical instruments. The Carlisle Indian Band performed at World's Fairs. World's Fairs, expositions, and The Carlisle Indian Band performed at World Fairs, expositions, and every national presidential inaugural celebration until the school closed. Interesting. Luther Standing Bear was a bugler for military calls and educated as a classical musician. On May 24th, 1883, Luther Standing Bear led the Carlisle Indian Band of brass instruments as the first band to cross the Brooklyn Bridge on its grand opening. From 1897 to 1899, Zitkala Sa, also Zitkala Sa, 1876 to 1938, also known as Gertrude Simmons Bonin. Her missionary given and later married name was a Yankton, Dakota Sioux writer, editor, translator, musician, educator, and political activist. She wrote several works chronicling her struggles with cultural identity. Zitkala Sa played violin with the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston. In 1899, she took a position at the Carlisle Indian School where she taught music to the children and conducted debates on the treatment of Native Americans. In 1900, Zitkala Sa played violin at the Paris Exposition with the school's Carlisle Indian Band. In the same year, she began writing articles on Native American life, which were published in such popular periodicals as Atlantic Monthly and Harper's Monthly. Also in 1900, Zitkala Sa was sent by Captain Pratt back to the Yankton Reservation for the first time in several years to recruit students. Okay. She was greatly dismayed to find there that her mother's house was in disrepair and her brother's family in poverty, and that white settlers were beginning to occupy the land promised to the Yankton Dakota by the Dawes Act of 1877. Upon returning to Carlisle, she came into conflict with Pratt. She resented the rigid program of assimilation and argued that the curricula did not encourage Native American children to aspire to anything beyond lives spent in menial labor. In 1901, Zitkala Sa was dismissed, likely for an article she had published in Harper's Monthly describing the profound loss of identity felt by a Native American boy after being given an assimilationist education at Carlisle. Concerned with her mother's advanced age and her father's struggle with poverty, she returned to Yankton Reservation in 1901. Zitkala Sa dedicated her life to Indian reform, voting rights, and education. Francis E. Leup, Commissioner of Indian Affairs from 1904 to 1909, had a strong influence over the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. Leup encouraged promoting Indian culture by teaching native arts and crafts. In 1905, Leup wrote for the Carlisle Arrow, "It seems to me that one of the errors good people fall into in dealing with the Indian is taking it for granted that their first duty is to make a white man out of him." He also stated, "The Indian is a natural warrior, a natural logician, a natural artist. We have room for all three in our highly organized social system. Let us not make the mistake in the process of absorbing them, of washing out of them whatever is distinctly Indian." In 1906, Leup appointed Native American artist Angel Decora, trained at Hampton Institute, Virginia, and Smith College, Massachusetts, to be instructor of the first Native Arts course at the Carlisle. Decora agreed to accept the position at Carlisle only if she shall not be expected to teach in the white man's way. but shall be given complete liberty to develop the art of my own race and apply this as far as possible to various forms of art, industries, and crafts. The project was ambitious, and in 1907, students constructed the Liu Indian Art Studio. The studio was strategically positioned to the entrance to the campus and designed as an exhibition hall and artist studio. Materials were purchased by using profits from the prior Carlisle Indian football season. Public demand for Native American arts was growing, and proceeds from sales were used to raise funds for individuals on reservations and to cultivate public interest in Indian crafts. Students enjoyed plains art and drawing traditional pictographs on paper and slates. The studio showcased paintings, drawings, leatherwork, beadwork, jewelry, and basketry made by students, and some produced on reservations. The floor was covered with colorful Navajo blankets. As head of the Liu Art Studio from 1906 to 1915, Decora emphasized design, encouraged students to apply tribally specific designs to marketably modern art media such as books, book plates, textiles, and wallpaper. Carlisle boasted a state-of-the-art photography studio for students.
They basically taught them what they wanted the American Indian to look like in the history that they wanted, and had the children recreate it.
Mm-hmm. In 1908, Decora married a Carlisle student, Lone Star Diaz. At age 23, Diaz enrolled at Carlisle, where he studied art in Philadelphia in the summer outing program. After his marriage to Decora, he continued in his role of student and assistant art teacher. In 1909, the school launched a monthly literary magazine known as the Indian Craftsman, later changed to the Red Man. The design by the school's art department, printed and in part written by students, the magazine gained a wide reputation for the quality of its appearance and content. Lone Star created cover designs for almost all of the 50 issues of magazines between 1909 and 1914. During their time at Carlisle, Angel and Lone Star Diaz brought cultural awareness to students through innovative teaching programs. Political context. Progressive era fight for the image of Native Americans. From 1886 to the onset of World War I, progressive reformists fought a war of images with Wild West. Hold on, I got to make sure I understand this. From 1886 to the onset of World War I, oh, it's raining. Progressive reformers fought a war of images with Wild West shows before the American public at world fairs, expositions, and parades.
They telling you they basically gave you a market image of what they wanted you to believe an Indian was and looked like. propaganda.
Right.
And it's not saying that the people that they used to do it were not Indians. They were. But
Right.
these were Indians that were picked for particular reasons. How they look, so they can pass.
So, and here's a thought. I remember when I was younger, I was told by some older relatives that there were groups that were established, and that they used to put a brown paper bag. You know those brown. Okay, they used to put a brown paper bag, and if you were darker than that brown paper bag, you couldn't be a part of. And I was told different things.
Look at it like this: if they don't overturn what Walter Plecker did,
Mm-hmm.
how many of these people would still be considered Negro right now?
Right.
Exactly. And keep reading about Decorah and what she did, that she ended up leaving her husband, which was, she did the opposite of Clayton Bigsby when she found out who he was. I yield the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me click real quick.
Think about it. He went back. How many families, and this is the part you got to look at it, how many families of high influence
Oh, I got you.
who passed through, that when Walter Plecker did that, it really, you get what I'm saying? The importance for them to come back and overturn it like that. Because these same people that were shown to be Negroes able to pass for what now? White.
Can I read Decorah's background and personal
yes, you may.
real quick? Now, and I'm not trying to like pick and read, like skip over, but I think those two, because we've already read about her education, if that makes sense. Okay. Angel Decorah Diaz, or Hunuk Mahawi Kalinaka, fleecy cloud floating in place, was born at the Winnebago Agency in Dakota County, now Thurston, Nebraska, on May 3rd, the daughter of David Todd Decorah, a Ho-Chunk, Winnebago, Ho-Chunk, also known as Hukagra, of French ancestry and son of Little Decorah, a hereditary chief. Angel was born into the Thunderbird clan. Her English and Ho-Chunk names were chosen by a relative who was asked to name her. Opened the Bible and the word angel caught her eye. Her mother was a member of the influential Lemire family. She was kidnapped at a young age from the agency and sent to school in Hampton, Virginia. A strange white man appeared on the reservation and asked her, through an interpreter, if she would like to ride on a streamcar with 6 other children. She decided to try it, and when the ride ended, she found herself in Hampton. It was.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
Just interject real quick. Do you know this agency is interchangeable with reservation?
Yep. You know what else is called agency? Truthfully?
Give it to them.
Social services, group homes, foster homes, and placements.
Mm-hmm. Connections. Look at them links.
Let me find my spot real quick. Okay. She found herself in Hampton. It was 3 years later when I returned to my mother, says Angel Decora. She told me that for months she wept and mourned for me. My father and the old chief and his wife had died, and with them the old Indian life was gone. As granddaughter to the chief of the Winnebago tribe, Decorah existed in a position of influence since, among most Plains people, power and culture knowledge, power and culture knowledge were accumulated by and dispensed through females. Shout out to Doodoo. Although Decorah's mother was French in origin, Decorah would be expected to follow in her grandmother's footsteps in passing along cultural practices. During the summers, we lived on the reservations, my mother cultivating her garden and my father playing the chief's son. During the winter, we used to follow the chase away off. Oh, during the winter, we used to follow the chase away off the reservation, along rivers and forests. My father provided not only for his family then, but his father's also. We were always moving camp. As a child, my life was ideal. In all my childhood, I never received a cross word from anyone, but nevertheless, my training was incessant. Is that right? Incessant? Incessant. We'll go with incessant.
See.
Okay, thank you. About as early as I can remember, I was lulled to sleep night after night by my father's or grandparents' recital of laws and customs that had regulated the daily life of my grandseers for generations and generations. Interesting. And in the morning, I awakened by the same counseling. Under the influence of such precepts and customs, I acquired the general bearing of a well-counseled Indian child, rather reserved, respectful, and mild in manner. You know what? Let me... Man. All right, personal. Decorah was married to William Henry Lone Star Diaz. Wakarhipi Isnala, who claimed Dakota and German descent, but his true identity remains highly controversial.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Diaz divorced Decorah, charging her with abandonment. It's not clear how much she knew about his identity. She died 6 days after his indictment. Later in life, Diaz was an active painter. Hold on. Wait, what? It just dropped off on me. I apologize. What's his identity? Bones, what happened?
Next season on.
Yeah, that's really what I feel like right now. What do you mean to be continued? Okay, they divorced in 1918. Okay, Diaz divorced Decorah in November 1918, charging her with abandonment. It is not clear how much she knew about his identity. She died 6 days after his indictment. Later in life, Diaz was an active painter exhibitor of his work in Lehigh University with sculptors Joseph Brown and Jose de Rivera in 1955, exhibited, curated by Francis Quick. What's his identity?
Well, this might hurt some Washington Redskin fans, and I'm gonna read it in their words. Diaz's true identity remains controversial. Also, although he is recognized as an Indian athlete by Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Redskins, Indian Country Today Media Network ran a series of articles in 2004 exposing Diaz as a white man masquerading as an Indian.
Say what? Oh, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I'm all right.
Now, hold on. You can't judge a book by its cover, huh?
And his wife divorced him because he was an Indian lover. Shout out to Clayton Bisbee.
Woogie boogie.
Condoleezza Rice. Put on the plate and eat her.
I guess we can leave it there for today's episode.
Today's episode, boys and girls. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Chiloco. Yeah, Chiloco Indian Agriculture School is where his identity is where he may have feigned some kind of Indian identity for the first time, according to researcher Linda Wagner.
But also letting you know, all Europeans aren't fair skinned.
Right.
You'll come to find out that his own sister testified and said, "That's not my brother." Her brother, an actual Indian, was 12 years older than the man claiming to be her brother. And that he was dead or missing.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail. Sorry. I yield the mic.
That's the moment when everybody listening is like, wait a minute now. And just for the marination, I got old Dwight back up on the screen.
Whoa.
That man looked just the same complexion as some of your relatives in your family.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can I read the progressive era fight for the image of Native Americans real quick? Or we doing salivations? Cannot judge a book by its cover.
As long as your salutations is, you might as well just mix it in.
Oh, okay. I might as well just do salivation. You're right. You
No,
right,
you can
double
just start
cousin.
with
You
that.
right.
I'm just saying. You like you got to ask for the floor. You know you got the floor.
Can I do
all on
mine
the
first,
floor.
please? Y'all don't mind? Can I
Yeah,
go
he want to
first?
get his out of the way because he know we're gonna be here tomorrow.
Going on mute.
I just want to say shout out to Aaron Spelling because he was inspired by Decorah and her story. In case you don't know, that old 1970s something and something show called Charlie's Angels and the Townsend Agency. That they would take orphan girls and make them angels. Come on, son.
Come on. Come on. Prove it, Rob.
Is this
See
thing
y'all
on?
next week.
Hello?
Hey, James, you should have said that live. Oh, we live?
Oh, we live.
We not live anymore. Hello.
The snacks
Is this thing on?
Just when you thought it was safe to take the helmets off.
You unstrapped for the roller coaster was up.
Shout out to my main man again, old the White D Ironsides, Eisenhower, from Denison, Texas.
That ain't Perry Mason. I thought he was Ironside. Maybe. No. Okay.
You better watch the eyes of Perry Mason, old Ironside. The Melungeons. Don't know about them.
Yo, is that why I used to watch Perry Mason by myself? It was like 1994. I'm sitting there watching Perry Mason. I shouldn't have been watching that in the 4th grade, but I watched
You
it.
and me
And
both.
what was the guy? What was the prosecutor's name? Hamilton Burger.
Hamburger. Don't act like y'all used to watch Perry Mason. At least flip through the channels and stop for a second.
Oh, yeah. I used to be stayed to.
I used to watch from the beginning to the end. That's why I still watch Matlock.
Y'all know about old Andy Griffin. Andy Griffin. Matlock.
Yep. Y'all know what my ringtone is by now? My alarm to wake up. Y'all play too much.
No, what you do from Archie
It was
Bunker?
really similar to Pink Panther.
Yep.
It was really similar to Pink Panther.
Yep. I used to watch that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't hear my mama cussing in the background, did y'all?
Oh man, now I'm rethinking Pink Panther. Okay.
Salutate them.
Salivations. All right. Salivations. Continue on your genealogical journey. Journey. Know who you are so that no one can tell you who you are. It is important. It is key. Pass it along to your family and your children and your friends and your neighbors so they can know who they are so that no one can tell them who they are. Period. Genealogy is important. Knowing who you are is important. It is key. Anyone telling you it's not important, it doesn't need to be done, who are they? Who is they mamas and daddies? Who's they grandmothers and grandfathers? Pull those records. Take your time. There are so many factors into pulling records and finding ancestors. So take your time, but continue doing your genealogy. Pull that information and again, pass that along to your family and your children so that they can know who they are, so that no one can tell them who they are. Again, if anybody's telling you not to do genealogy and telling you that, it's not important, it is setting you up for them to tell you who you are. So
Matter of fact, not to interrupt.
No,
If anybody's telling you not to do their genealogy, tell them hit us up. Give them our email address. Tell them to look at the show at least, because I want to have this conversation. They probably can't go any further than, hey, don't do the census, don't do your genealogy. That's it. If you don't ask them why, I mean, just send them to us. I'm just saying. TashaSimday@gmail.com.
yeah, because again, one of many. No, you're right. One of many records that we pull are census records. So 150 years from now, who is going to look for you? Who's coming to find you? Pulling census records. It ties into the census. Do the census. Not just because it's required by law, but again, make yourself count so that you can count. Do the census. The decennial census day was April 1st. The 10-year census, it has been extended out to October 31st. You still have time to do the census. Do the census. Make yourself count so that you can count. You've got the decennial census that happens every 10 years. The ACS census, the decennial census is sent out to everyone. That's every household. It's not selected addresses. That's everyone. Has a few questions, 5 or 10 minutes of your time. The ACS census happens every month, every year, alongside the decennial 10-year census. The ACS census is sent out to selected addresses. If your address was selected, do that census. You are a representative. Your address is chosen, but you are the representative for your neighbors, for your communities, for your city. You are a representative. Fill out that census. A lot of the questions and things that were on the decennial census are no longer on there anymore. They're on the ACS census. And again, the census ties to so many aspects of our daily interactions in our lives, from the schools that we go to or our children go to, from the grocery stores, the businesses that are established, down to city buildings, county buildings, hospitals, just everything, parks that you go to. The census is tied into so many different aspects of our daily lives. Period. Fill out the census. Make yourself count so that you can count. Again, if your address is one of those addresses that was chosen, that is chosen to fill out the ACS census, fill out that census. We've got the 5-year agriculture census that is coming up in 2022. Agriculture, agribusiness, man, that ties to every aspect of our lives. Fill out those census, participate. Again, if we don't fill out those census, it's one of many ways that we get our voice out there. If we don't fill out the census, somebody else will. If we don't make ourselves count, somebody else will make us count. Period. If you work for a company and don't fill out the census, the company you work for, they're going to fill out a census and they're going to make you count how they fill out the census. If you live in a city and you don't fill out a census, That city is, going to fill out a census. County, state, businesses fill out census. Just saying. Make yourself count so that you can count. Participate. Know what's going on in your city. Know what's going on in your county. Know what's going on in your state. Know what's going on in your neighborhood. Participate. Get actively involved. Go to those public websites for your city, your county, and your state. Get the notifications. Even if it's just you getting the notifications for you to receive updates, to read so that you know if it applies to you, if it doesn't, if it applies to your neighbor or your friends or your family or it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with knowing. Do the census, get actively involved. With that being said, peace to the panel, peace to the chat, peace to the silent majority. Shout out to you, Double Cousin, for your wise words. I appreciate you. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Every problem is a gift. Without them, we wouldn't grow. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when they were created. A lot of problems in the world would disappear if we talk to each other, instead of about each other. And intelligence, not because you think you know everything without questioning, but rather because you question everything you think you know. It is by not always thinking of yourself, if you can manage it, that you might somehow be happy until you can make room in your life for someone as important to you as yourself. You will always be searching. And lastly, illusions are like mistresses. We can have many of them without tying ourselves down to responsibility. But truth insists on marriage. Once a person embraces truth, he or she is in its rueful but gentle grasp. Peace to the panel, peace to the chat, peace to the silent majority.
What you got for no sellout?
I'm on mute. I'm off mute. Mic check.
1, 2.
Well then, I'm gonna do a roll call. Shout out to the chats. Peace to everybody that's here, that's still here. Scrolling to the top. American Indians versus Grand Afternoon. Mike Easton, peace. David Coriander, peace. No sellout, what's up? Who else we got? My bad, it's the same names. Macadon One, what's up? What's going on? Grand Rising, Grand Afternoon. Restream Box, what's good? One Dream 33, that's in Twitch. Shout out to Twitch. Then had that. Randy James, Grand Rising. Shout out to Randy James. Diaspora L, Grand Rising and peace. Grand afternoon to all y'all that are listening still, that will listen later. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, and or corrections, please email us at autochtonusassembly@gmail.com, the website with the same name, the forum with all this information on there, all these bombshells and bombs in general waiting to be shelled. They there. You should be there. Michael Brown Harris Cheek. Peace. Grand afternoon. I see you there. Mama there. Be there. See you there. Yeah. The Zoom link will be in the chat as usual. The number is on the screen. Hit us up. We here. What's today? Friday? We'll be here tomorrow too. On Friday. Peace, y'all. Every day Friday.
All right. What you got for him, Brother James?
Okay, so I saw something in the back chat. I thought I was wrong, so I'm gonna read it now since we're waiting on James. So when y'all were talking earlier, or when James mentioned about the Europeans not being able to win against the Indian in certain things, most things across the board, I thought of kill the Indian, kill the Indian, save the man, and I thought of it as them being tired of getting their behinds handed to them by Indians, and that was their way of leveling the playing field. So I got a bingo from James on that, so I feel like I had to say something right out loud on the air. I said something right, y'all.
Say it.
I did. You want me to do it again? I don't really want to.
Say it again. Say it again.
Kill the Indian, save the man was a way for them to level the playing field. Yeah, I was right. I said something. Peace, y'all. James, it's just your fault.
Even on the level of sports, what eventually happened? They recruited Indians, Plains Indians and Western Indians, who eventually would end up playing against who? Southern Indians.
Right.
Go back, look at these colleges, look at these sports teams. Now that you know how these teams were put together,
mascots.
Think about it. Think about it, man. Look at the rivalries of these college schools. What really is the rivalry? Indian versus Indian.
Yep, I was just about to say the rivalry.
Look at these sports teams. We know all these sports teams, the majority of them are Indians. Now you have darker skinned Indians playing against Indians who are able to pass. Ones that were educated through a system to reprogram Indians. And then gave you race. So you don't look at them as Indians no more, you look at them as white folks. Oh, did I say too much?
Not at all.
Nope.
Because these same pictures that you would call white folk, that many would call Europeans today. Brother James probably had to step away. Give him a couple more minutes. But yeah, think about it when you look at these competitions now. These football games, basketball games, baseball games.
And
people sitting back watching Indians compete against each other.
Yeah, and these are military schools, so they're playing out war strategies on a field, war games on a field.
And giving back to you as a sport.
Right.
And a whole lot of bombs just went off right now. Well, on that note, thanks again, Gabrielle, No Sellout, the active chat and the silent majority for making this possible again. And today, I'm going to go out with this. A lot of people ask, what's the importance of history? It's a marker. And it helps you have a better understanding of what happened. Because it's the 5 W's that when you're dealing with history, that you're trying to get answered. The who's, the what's, the where's, the why's, and the when's. So that way, as you move forward, it makes sure you don't fall back into the same traps. And it also is a reminder so you will never forget what was done and how it was done. Because again, how much of this information are we going through and we're finding out that the majority of this we've been doing ourselves into ourselves. True indeed, it was taught to us and given to us. But we choose to move it forward and keep teaching it forward. That now that we are aware that we do have a responsibility to fix the things that we did wrong, to rebuild our communities, to give future generations a fair shot. Because what's the sense, again, of brothers and sisters getting together, finding out this information, at the same time solutions, so we're not just talking about problems, we're identifying the problems, so that way we can put the proper solution to work. So again, brothers and sisters, continue to work in your communities, continue to find out what you can access today to make it better for tomorrow, continue working on your genealogy, and until we link up again, remember we love you, and peace.
Peace, everybody.
Log on to patreon.com for the Disappearing Act.
So popular, but just so invisible.
Brought to you by, I really don't know what I'm doing.
I'm just here to make you think I know what I'm talking about.
Really
Oh,
don't.
hashtag. No, I own hashtags.
Hashtag.
What? You said everything he owned in the trash bag. No, let me stop. I'm not fooling around with you. You started. It says Wednesday. I'm not fooling around with y'all.
It's Friday.
Peace, everybody.
Wait, it's Wednesday?
Yes, it is.
They
You
threw
know we
me
gotta
off.
go.
Trash came
Yeah, my
today.
bad.
I knew something was wrong.
See, there you go. See, that's what he was trying to say. Everything in the trash bag. Yep. See, I knew it.
I need to take this to the curb.
He just philosophized, y'all.
In real time, live on air. Bye, y'all.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.